All right, what's up, everyone? My name is Tamarcus, and welcome to the Unsportsmanlike podcast. Today, I have my co-host. I'm gonna let him introduce himself.
What's up, y'all? I'm Nick. I'll be the co-host here for Tamarcus on this great podcast.
Yeah, so with this podcast, we're basically gonna just talk about all different type of sports. From college football to NBA to MLB to potentially some hockey. So we're just gonna talk about different topics and just go into depth on each one of them. So today we're gonna talk about the playoff games from this past weekend. You had the Kansas City Chiefs versus the Buffalo Bills. Then you had the Eagles versus the Commanders. They both were great games. One of those was a pretty much of a blowout after the third quarter. So Nick, what are your thoughts on the Eagles making it to the Super Bowl?
As a kid out of Pennsylvania, not my hometown, but where I graduated from, I definitely definitely happy to see them back there. It's good. I wanted Saquon to get that chance to get that elusive ring. I think he's got a great shot at it too.
So do you think this year's Philadelphia Eagles team is better than the one that they had a couple years ago when they ultimately lost to the Chiefs in the Super Bowl?
On the offensive side of the ball, yes. On the defensive side of the ball, no.
So why do you say no on the offensive side of the ball? I mean, why do you say no? I'm sorry, on the defensive side of the ball though.
I say no because I feel like that the cornerback situation. Yes, you have Cooper DeJean, and he's a stud. He'll lock down the number one wide receiver whenever he gets the chance. But my thing is he's still a rookie. You have two rookie corners on the squad and starting on the defense. The moment might be too big for him.
So you think the moment will be too big for them in a game of this magnitude? Because I mean, if you look at what they did against the Commanders, they played with poise. No defensive pass interference penalties. As the people in Philadelphia call Quinyon Mitchell Guantanamo Bay. So which I think is a unique nickname for them. But my whole thought process for this team is the only way this team gets going, Saquon Barkley gets going. Because I am not a Jalen Hurts believer. I don't know if he can take into a game and win you a game. Because if you take away Saquon Barkley, well, you're not even going to take him away. If you slow him down, if you can contain him, can Jalen Hurts, you know, lead you to a victory? That is my biggest question with this Philadelphia Eagles team.
Yeah, and another quick bit on that is like, for example, here's why I think the moment could be too big. Right? Is yes, they didn't have any defensive pass interference, but that was an opponent that they played twice this season already. That was a third game. You're very familiar with their schemes, their sets. You know exactly how those receivers are going to react. So it's a lot different the third time around. And I think that's why it was such a blowout, is because they figured him out. They had him figured out the last time that they played him. Ultimately Jalen Hurts got hurt in the third quarter, but they were already up 2 touchdowns.
Right.
So yeah, it's a very common opponent. That's why I think it was such a blowout, and I think that's why it may be too big, is because they haven't seen the Chiefs, or
Right.
if they have, it was way earlier this season. So
I don't. They didn't play him this year. I'm not. Nah, they haven't played him this year. I was looking on Twitter earlier today. Chauncey Gardner Johnson, who's been passed around like a baby. Passed around at a family function.
yeah,
He say, he basically was like Jaden McDaniels. I don't even know who Jaden McDaniels is. I know him as Jaden Daniels. He goes on to say, "Congratulations, but take your ass to Cancun." And my whole thought process is like, why are you talking shit to a rookie who in year one made it to the NFC title game? I've never been a fan of Chauncey Gardner Johnson because all he does is just bark, 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 bark. And he's been, like I said, he's been passed around. Came from New Orleans to Philly to Detroit Lions, and now he's back in Philly, and now he's back in the same situation where, he's blessed to be on a great defense, got a great D line, and now you're talking all this shit about an opposing quarterback who's only in year one. Right? I mean, he's only going to get better. They're only going to build around him. So it's like Chauncey Gardner Johnson, bro, you're doing a lot of yapping, right? You're doing a lot of yapping right now because you're winning. But are you gonna yap in 2 weeks if you guys lose? That's my only thing. That's why I don't like Chauncey Gardner Johnson.
yeah, shit might not be sweet here in 2 weeks when you lose. So yeah,
Yeah,
it's gonna be fun to see for sure.
yeah. I mean, what do you think went wrong? I mean, like you said, they figured them out. I mean, do you just feel like the Commanders didn't have enough firepower on the offensive side of the ball? Or do you think they just turned the ball over?
I don't think they had enough firepower. I mean, your best tight end is a really old Zach Ertz.
Yeah,
I'm not saying that a tight end fixes that,
right.
but that's a weakness. I don't think that Austin Eckler is a good running back one or running back two. And then on top of that, Jaden Daniels, as amazing as he was, and probably is going to be rookie of the year.
For sure.
It's just he's a rookie. Nothing's going to prepare you for that. It's
Yeah,
only time in the league that is going to get you prepared. And I think that's ultimately went wrong. I thought the defense was great. This was a team that a few years, no, last year gave up Chase Young, and we were like, well, what the hell is this defense going to turn into? This defense looked amazing all year, except for ultimately the game that cost them the chance to go to the Super Bowl.
and honestly though, I think the defense has always been good. They've just been injury prone, right? And I mean, even with Chase Young, I mean, he really wasn't that great. I mean, Chase Young hasn't been good for a very, very long time. I mean, he's just at this point he's just on the team, like because he's in New Orleans right now. And of course, I'm a Saints fan, and I've watched many, many games of Chase Young in New Orleans, and I'm sitting here looking like he's got to go. He's on a 1 year deal. He's on a prove it deal. You got to prove it to us. And I don't honestly think the New Orleans Saints should pay him, to come back. But, being New Orleans, it's been a lot of, tumultuous, stuff going on down there. So I'm excited to see what goes on with that. But like, okay, so let's switch over to the best game that happened Sunday. The Bills, Josh Allen versus his arch nemesis, Pat Mahomes and the Chiefs. I mean, I look at it like this, Nick. What more, like, what more does Josh Allen have to do to beat the great Patrick Mahomes? What more does he have to do? He's played phenomenal every single time he plays him. He just can't get the job done. What's your thoughts?
I think if that game is in Buffalo, I think it's a wraps. I don't think that game goes the way it did if that game's in Buffalo. One, I get it was cold. I live 5 hours from the stadium. It's cold over here, but nothing is compared to that cold up there in Buffalo. Not to mention that the way the stadium's laid out, kicking is not so easy up there in Buffalo either.
But
So
but
you
hold
got
on.
to win more games.
Let me
That's
ask
it.
you this though. Didn't Pat Mahomes walk into Buffalo last year and beat Josh Allen in Buffalo in the
He
cold?
he did, but that defense was severely underpowered last year.
See, but this is the thing though. But I mean, it's like you just said. If the game was played in Buffalo, whether the D was there or not, I mean, they were a Stephon Diggs catch away from beating the Chiefs in Buffalo.
I also think that Stephon Diggs is too much of how do a diva
I
for
mean,
for anybody to win with him.
I
So
mean, if you want to be honest, a lot of true number one receivers are divas. CD Lamb, Michael Thomas at one point in time. A lot of number one receivers are divas, right?
I mean, but look at the teams that don't have divas on their team. Like for example, there's not a diva. Well, I mean, I guess you can consider Travis Kelsey being a diva, but the Chiefs don't have a diva on the offense.
I can't consider him a diva because I mean, do you ever hear about him in the news? You don't. Not for anything bad. I mean, the only thing you hear is the Taylor Swift stuff that people are probably sick and tired of hearing or seeing. But I mean, as far
Hmm.
as that, I mean, I feel like this: if you're winning, why are you being a diva? I mean,
Yeah, I mean, I would go as far to say that the Bengals. I mean, maybe Jamar Chase a little bit, but they don't really have a diva up there either.
I mean,
I
he
mean, they had some unlucky bounces, and Joe Burrow got hurt, but
I mean, he got his money. I mean, he got his money, and he's like I said, he was a triple crown winner this year. He balled out in Cincinnati. So, I mean, this is really like I said, it's all interesting. But going back to the Josh Allen thing, man, I don't know what more he has to do. I mean,
I
I
mean,
just don't know.
if he wants to come down to Miami, I mean, I got a great weapon
Oh,
in Tyreek Hill for him.
and you got so you're not happy with Tua?
No, I'm not. But
yeah,
that's a conversation for another episode. This
definitely.
game was just too great to move on from it.
Yeah.
But
I mean, like I said, the Bills did everything that they were supposed to do. All right, so here's the big thing I want to talk about: the refs, right? Because all we've been hearing all year long, the refs are saving KC. The refs are doing this. You can't hit Mahomes. You can't hit Travis Kelsey. So, how do you feel about the refs this game? Because me personally, I thought the game was evenly called.
okay, so was the game evenly called? Yes. Was there some questionable calls? Yes. Everybody's going to go back to three calls in that game. One, the Josh Allen not getting that first down when everybody thought he got it. I saw an angle today of a video that was still on the first down line with a line drawn right down it. He never got across that line with the ball. His head got across, but the ball didn't cross. So, good call. Can't give it to him there. The other two calls I will say are a little fishy. The other one was at the end, on the last play of the game, there was a flag, and for some reason it was picked up, but there was no explanation on what. That's a
Okay.
little weird, especially in a championship game. There should be at least an explanation. And then the other call was Xavier Worthy's catch, where the ball did hit the ground and it did move. If that is a catch, then tell me why Des Bryant's catch years back was not a
No, no,
catch.
no. That's totally different. That's totally different. Dez Bryant never actually had full possession of the ball. See, the ground can't cause an incompletion. The ball is like you can hit the ball can hit the ground as long as you have sole possession of the ball, which Xavier Worthy did. Dez Bryant did not have sole possession of that ball. He didn't catch the
So,
ball they called
but
it incomplete.
if you catch a ball right, and then as you're coming to the ground, and as the ball touches the ground, the ball moves out of your hand. I would say that you didn't have a complete possession of the ball at that point
See,
because the ground should not have caused it to move. It should make your hand and the ball move, not just the ball.
but you're speaking on two different plays too, though, because I mean, with Dez Bryant, his is uncontested. This was more so a contested catch. I mean, with Xavier Worthy in the DB. So it's like with a play like that, it was either gonna go three different ways. It's gonna be a catch, an interception, or an incomplete. But in that type of situation, they're not gonna call that an incomplete catch because both guys had their hand on the ball, right? But I also look at it like this too, though. I think the Bills had ample amount of opportunities to win this game.
They
They had
did.
opportunities. It's not like they didn't have opportunities, which they did. I mean, they didn't get a fourth down. You know, I think that play call on fourth down that they called to where he threw the ball to who was that? Dalton Knox.
Dalton Kincaid.
Yeah, Dalton Kincaid. I thought that was just the craziest play call. I mean, I didn't understand it, but I understand. I understand that Steve Spagnuolo sent a blitz off the edge from the DB, so it kind of probably messed up the entire play. But who's to say, they do go down there and they do score? You give him Mahomes a minute and 13 seconds. Hell, he's won a game in 13 fucking seconds. So it's like,
Against you, too. That's the
you.
problem.
So it's like, okay, so let's just say hypothetically they did get the first down. How do you manage the clock? Because you don't want to just, run the clock out and you're left with a 60 or a field goal, right? So how do you manage the clock in this situation? Because it's like, okay, we know with Tom Brady, if he's sitting on the bench with his head down, you fucked up. Right now, you
Mhm.
got Mahomes in the same type situation, and it's like, oh boy, what do I do here?
Yeah, and I'm looking at the stats while you're talking here. I really don't know what you do. You had more time of possession. You had more total yards. He beat you in passing yards, but you had more rushing yards as a team. It was 6-5 on penalties. That's pretty close. That's as close as you're gonna get. And then on top of that, you ran five more plays than them, and
And
you won the turnover battle too. You had, or
and
I,
that
yeah, you won the turnover battle. So I just don't get it.
But there's one thing I will say: the Chiefs did win, special teams, right? I will say that because I mean they had a lot of their kick returns to midfield, so they had a lot of short fields. So I mean, if you're consistently giving Pat Mahomes short fields, Come on now. Like, even if they don't move the ball, they got one of the best postseason kickers of all time in Harrison Buckner, who is probably a first ballot Hall of Famer. We can argue that shit all fucking day. I mean, so, I mean, you're playing right in the Chiefs' hands.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, there's only one quarterback that has gone into KC and beaten them, and that's who? The great Joe Burrow. So, I mean, that's a very, very short list. You know, I mean, Pat Mahomes is 17-3 in the playoffs. His two losses have came against who? Tom Brady, and his one loss came against Joe Burrow. And then the next year, he avenged that loss and went on to win the Super Bowl. So I mean, what more? So let me ask you this: if Pat Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs find a way to beat who I think has a better overall roster in the Philadelphia Eagles than the Kansas City Chiefs, if he beats that Eagles team to claim a three-peat, is he the greatest quarterback in NFL history?
Oh,
That's
this
a
is a
question.
it's a great debate question, and I know I'm gonna get a reaction out of you when I say this. I know I'm gonna to. So no, he's not the greatest quarterback of all time, and here's why. Before your
Oh,
reaction, here's why. Here's why. You will agree with me that LeBron is the greatest of all time.
you damn right.
However, however, everybody always says whoever is agreeing with that Michael is, they always bring up he doesn't have 6 rings. But Mahomes doesn't have the rings that Brady has.
Okay, I know I'm not a what if guy, and I always say like, what if
I
doesn't matter.
know. Yeah, I know what you're about to say.
Like, but think about this. One of his Super Bowl losses came to Tom Brady. So let's just say he did beat Tom Brady. This motherfucker would be sitting on what, 5? No, 4. He'd be sitting
This
on 4.
he'd be on 4. He'd be about to win his fifth, and Brady would be on
He would only have 6.
6, not 7.
No, how many did he win total? He won
I think he
7.
has 7.
He had 7 total. So I'm saying if Pat Mahomes beat Tom Brady, he's sitting on 6 rings.
And then Mahomes would be going for his fifth.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. So it's like, oh my God, man. So basically, it's like, okay. And then another thing people say, well, Tom Brady beat Pat Mahomes twice. Then he beat him in the Super Bowl. Yeah, okay, cool. He beat him with a depleted O line. Come on, bro. Like, I mean, I know it's no excuse, but like, come on. I mean, I mean, this is my reason why I feel like Pat Mahomes. First off, I feel like he's already maybe potentially the GOAT, but he would have done something that Tom Brady never came close to doing. Right? Every team that's won back-to-back Super Bowls have all lost in the divisional round. This motherfucker said, "Fuck it, I am that guy. I'm gonna lead my team to another Super Bowl." Think about it like this: he did it without a top-tier receiver. He has a old ass DeAndre Hopkins. He has a young Xavier Worthy. He has a old ass Travis Kelsey. What the fuck does he have? And he's still progressing year in and year out. So, like, Nick, come on, bro. He's winning with absolutely nothing. Think about what I'm saying. He has no consistent running game. Isaiah Pacheco, cool beans. Kareem Hunt, I mean, Kareem Hunt, cool beans. I mean, but he doesn't have anything. He has nothing.
Okay. So let me hit you with this, okay? He's winning with nothing, right?
Right.
I'm pretty sure Tom Brady won with nothing on that 28-3 comeback.
No,
His best
no, no,
receiver
no,
is
no, no, no,
Julian Edelman.
no,
I'm
no, no.
sorry, Julian Edelman's like a wide receiver 2 at best.
Is he not a future Hall of Famer?
He will be because he played with Tom Brady.
Is he not a Super Bowl MVP? Yes. He's a Super Bowl
On
MVP.
a crazy catch.
I don't give a damn. I don't give a damn if he caught this shit with his ass. He's a Super Bowl MVP. What are we doing?
Does is okay? Let me. I don't know this fact, so maybe you can tell me. Has Mahomes won the Super Bowl MVP every single time he's been there?
You're damn Skippy. If I'm
Okay.
not
Okay.
mistaken, you know what? Let me go research this shit. If I am not mistaken, Pat Mahomes has won every single Super Bowl MVP. I could be wrong though, but I am pretty sure Pat Mahomes has won every single one of them. I know he's a 2-time regular season MVP for sure. So he may be. I could be wrong though.
I'm also trying to look for it.
So I mean, because I mean, if he's won, I mean he's won 3 already. So I'm just saying, Nick. Just saying. So, um, so what did you find out?
I haven't found it a clear cut yet. Hang on. Yeah, he won it for a third time. So yeah,
Yeah,
he's won it every single time.
exactly. Tom Brady didn't even win one. I mean, he's won pretty much all of them. Besides, I'm pretty sure one. So it's like, okay, what are we talking about? And if Pat Mahomes wins,
Well,
look at it like this: if the Chiefs win the Super Bowl, you know who they're getting the MVP to? Pat Mahomes,
yeah, but I'm just saying, like, okay, for example, Mahomes won one with Tyreek Hill, right?
for sure.
Is Tyreek Hill better than Julian Edelman?
Hell yes.
Okay. Now, their running back that year was actually Clyde Edwards-Helaire,
Trash,
who
trash. What are we doing?
I'm just saying, I
He's,
think that Tom Brady's
I think he's practiced
win is
doing,
better.
huh?
Well,
Come on
I
now.
don't know. Tom Brady's never had a great running game behind him either.
Okay, and
I'm
which
just saying, both of these teams can win with the rosters that they had when they were weak on the offensive side of the ball because of the defense. I'm not saying that these Super Bowls aren't because of Mahomes, but there's similarities
I mean,
with
yeah,
the amount of talent that they had.
they both had great defense. Like Tom Brady has never had a defense outside of the top 10. Like he's never had a top 10. He's never had a defense outside of the top 10 when he was the quarterback for the New England Patriots. So I mean, at that point, it's like, yeah, you're leaning on your defense for sure, but we're not going to disrespect Tom Brady like he still wasn't that guy. Same for
And I'm gonna fight it till okay. Now, maybe if they win the Super Bowl, I don't have a leg to stand on, but I did not want to give into it because I'm a Dolphins fan and I've had to deal with this
keep
antagonizing villain
keep keep
for so long.
keep in mind.
Brady's the goat.
Oh, so but if Pat Mahomes wins, he's the goat, right? He's won a three-peat. No, keep
Maybe.
no
I
no
don't
no
know.
no. Bro, do you know how hard it is to three-peat?
Oh,
Your
I'm aware. I'm aware.
your goat has never came close to three-peating. Your goat has never came close.
Yeah, but for forever the whole Joe Montana Brady debate was like it was like, oh, we got to give it to Montana even though he has less rings. So what? Now we're gonna be like, oh, nobody will touch 7. That's why Brady's gonna be the goat. To oh, now Mahomes has 4 and 3 of them were in a row, so he's the goat. Like we can't just change the guidelines and the rubric on how we're grading them. Like it needs to be the same. That's my thing.
I mean, like I said, man, if the man that messes around and win again this year, with all the key players that he has lost, especially Tyreek Hill, who I know is feeling like a complete dumbass right now. Because I mean, he only went to Miami for $5 million more. Wow, and you end up playing with fucking Tua. But hey, to each his own. At least you have no state income tax and you get most of your money. But if I'm me, I'm staying in Kansas City with something great because I know you're like, damn, they've won multiple without me. But like I said, that's a different story for a different day. But hey, that's all the time we have today, you guys. This is Tamarcus checking in with the Unsportsmanlike podcast. I'm here, like I said, I was here with my guy.
Nick, it's been a pleasure.
All right, y'all, we heading out. Peace.